Hello there, everyone. My name is Oversoul. This is Oversoul Gaming, and welcome back to Alan Wake 2. Okay, now we've gotten everything we need out of everywhere. Oh no, wait. Okay, so we put climax on the entrance hall. Now we got to go all the way to the final scene area and put climax on that. Oh no, wait, we did that already. Never mind, we did that already. I'm an idiot. We're done with this area. We can leave. We can leave the ocean view. We can leave Ocean View and go to Parliament. By the way, just a quick addendum to something I said in the previous episode. Well, I was for the most part right about Ocean View Hotel being the same in this game as it is, and control and yada yada. I was a little bit wrong. This
Parliament
is
Tower was here, again. Zane said the manuscript of return was the key to escaping. I had to get it before Scratch did.
this is the Ocean View Hotel, multi-story hotel, whereas in Control, it's the Ocean View Motel as a side-of-the-road, long ways, one-floor motel with a bunch of different rooms. But the purpose is still the same. They are connected to each other, and they do lead to different areas. Like, I think if Jesse was to take the spiral door in the Ocean View Motel, it would lead to the Ocean View Hotel here in Allen's Dark Place. So they are doors to other dimensions, and the motel is part of that.
Had I chosen to pursue the cult, or had they
Come
chosen
on.
me? Had I
There we
chosen to
go.
pursue the cult, or had they chosen me for some unknowable purpose? To be a demon, to sort the clues based on my interpretation, to change that which I observed. It was all a play. Shadows on the wall of a cave, an echo of the true events that happened somewhere else. Was I there to watch the shadows, or was I a shadow too? In a performance set up for someone else?
All right. Good question. Anyways, onwards to Parliament Tower. I might have mentioned it earlier, but in the final draft version of this game, when you play it through the second time on final draft mode, when you come into Parliament Tower, at one point, getting on the elevator, there is a photo, uh, the likes of which I don't want to give away because it kind of spoils the ending of the game. Although the ending of the game is the beginning of the game, so it's not a huge spoiler. But there's a photo with a picture of Alan looking the way he did in the beginning of this, and then there's like an echo with Alice, and that's before we actually see the first documentary video from her that we saw earlier. But that's another one of the differences is that, and that photo goes in your inventory, and to this, up to right now, like, no one has found a use for it yet. There's like, nobody knows what the photo does.
Go to hell!
I'm. Oh, you may have been distracted by the jump scares, but it did say that we unlocked a new song, the Happy Song by Poets of the Fall. That's the one, and we've heard it a couple times. We heard it in the that moment with Thomas Zane that we had, that live action moment. But that song is the one that's like, da 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 da. I told you I'm a psycho. Anyways, we heard that song a lot in Alan Wake's American Nightmare. Anytime we saw Mr. Scratch on a live action video, a lot of times he would
Alice
use
had
that
turned the
song.
bathroom into a dark room.
And of course, those of you who know your Remedy Universe lore know that Poets of the Fall is the real life band that portrays the fictional band Old Gods of Asgard in these games. Looks like Alice has been taking pictures of Mr. Scratch haunting her. Mr. Scratch, obviously, we know looks like Alan. But isn't. We know that from American Nightmare.
I needed to get inside the manuscript.
Now, here are some interesting emails that I am going to take the time to read because these are all emails from Barry Wheeler going back 2 years ago. You may remember Barry Wheeler as Alan's best friend and publicist or manager in the first Alan Wake game. And he kind of joined us for our crazy adventure through a lot of it. And then in the DLC episodes for Alan Wake, The Signal and the Rider, he manifested as a uh, figment of our imagination to help us get through the dark place. And then we ended up having to fight him as a boss at the end. But, anyways, if you're wondering what's been happening with Barry, because we haven't heard from him since the first Alan Wake, he did have a cameo in American Nightmare, but we didn't hear much about him in Control, and we haven't seen him at all in this game. So these emails will answer the questions about what he's been up to. So from 2 years ago, he says, "Hey Alice, I'm more a fish out of water in Hollywood than I ever was in the Pacific Northwest wilderness. These yuppies with their glow in the dark teeth couldn't be more fake if they had 6 fingers. And everything is so fucking great all the time, even when it's in fact the opposite. More than once I've thrown up in my mouth during meetings with these movie exec jerks. But I gotta be here to look after Al's legacy. Everyone wants to gobble up the film rights for the Casey books, and they have moronic ideas of what to do with them. It's my duty to herd this horde of trained or tanned zombies into the general direction of something resembling good taste. I'm painfully aware how deeply Al would have hated adaptations if they didn't do justice to his vision. He was a master of hating things deeply, for good reasons. I mean, that's why we loved him so much, right? Anyway, gotta hop on another video call now to talk about casting. Your pal, Barry." Also, it's worth mentioning that, and yes, I am putting a little infliction on my voice for him because he kind of had like that, I don't know how to, kind of like a New Yorker thing going on. But also, we do know one thing that he did. We do know that after the events of Alan Wake, that Barry became a manager for the old gods of Asgard after seeing them in action and hearing their music, and that's where their single "Balance Slays the Demon" comes from. That was under his direction that they made that song, which was played in Alan Wake's American Nightmare. But anyways, here's an email from 1 year ago. Barry joined a cult. "Hey Alice, you're gonna think I've been replaced by an evil double, but I have joined a cult and I love it. Joking about it being a cult, kind of. Blessed Wellness Retreat. Working with Al or the Andersons was tough sometimes, but these movie biz types are insane. My stress levels were through the roof, but then I was tipped off about the retreat. The best decision I ever made. I have never felt this good and, well, healthy. The guy who runs this place, Chester, is a goddamn miracle worker, not a wacko in any way. I know you think I'm full of shit, but I have lost a ton of weight. You wouldn't recognize me. Chester says I'm lucky to have ended up here, that something bad would have happened to me if I stayed in New York. I believe him. I wasn't feeling great after everything that happened, especially after those FBC creepos wanted to chat with me. Enough to turn anyone into a conspiracy nut. I hope you are good over there. Come visit anytime. West Coast is not as bad as I made it sound in my earlier mails. Your pal Barry." Checking in, another email from a year ago. This one came just 9 days after the last one. No, never mind. It was a month and 9 days after the last one. "Hey Alice, checking in because I haven't heard from you. Everything good back there? I've been trapped in nonstop meetings with no breaks. Open kimono, I have considered peeing in a mug, and lunches be damned. How these people ever get a movie made when all they do is sit in meetings is beyond me. Your pal Barry." Now, the latest email was from 6 months ago. It says, "Hey Alice, shark circling. They now want to turn what happened to Al into a movie and or TV show and or get this, a fucking video game. I told them to fuck off." Well, there is a reality where it did get made into a video game. Also, in case you hear about this from someone else, a true crime writer named Tammy Booker is working on a book about Al. I hunted down her publisher and told them we'll sue. Don't worry, I've got you covered. Your pal Barry. I think that might be the same Tammy that's visiting Bright Falls right now. And finally, from 4 months ago, in May 9th of 2023. "Hey Alice, everything good with you back home? Just checking in. Tried to call but couldn't reach you. You are probably just deep in your creative process. I know how you artists get when you're in the middle of your projects. Everything else disappears. If you call back and can't reach me, I'm doing whatever it is an executive producer is supposed to do. Still a mystery to me. Oh, and if you want me to help with anything business related to your exhibition, just say the word. Your pal, Barry. Alright, so the Blessed Wellness Retreat, I could be wrong about this, and I'll double check, but I think the FBC is actually behind that. I think it's actually something that they created, where they take people who experienced altered world events and put them in this retreat, and then they come back normal, quote unquote. Basically, they come back convinced that the spooky shit that they experienced was all in their head and a result of stress or whatever.
For months after Ellen died, I didn't leave the apartment.
We're gonna watch these in our mind place. Oh, I can't. Not yet.
By the confusion, shock, the guilt, fear. I could barely get out of bed. Barry Wheeler started visiting. He even cooked me meals. I couldn't stand the guy when I first met him, but he's a better friend than I gave him credit for. And he still checks in, even after he moved out west.
Okay, so since I did in okay, we can watch them in our mind place after we've seen them. I'm gonna play that one again because I accidentally interrupted part of it.
For months after Ellen died, I didn't leave the apartment. I was flattened by the confusion, shock, the guilt, fear. I could barely get out of bed. Barry Wheeler started visiting. He even cooked me meals. I couldn't stand the guy when I first met him, but he's a better friend than I gave him credit for. And he still checks in, even after he moved out west.
Okay, so while you were watching that, I looked it up just to be sure, and I was wrong. The FBC doesn't control the Blessed organization or whatever, but they have their eye on them. They suspect them of weird shit or bad stuff, and so they've been watching them. And Chester, the guy who runs the place, is actually a fugitive on their wanted list. So it's interesting that Barry
Alice's
would
work
join
had
them.
consumed the apartment. Her whole life.
But also, I think it's meant to be like also a reference and parody of the Blessed Wellness organization or place that really exists in California. But it was mentioned in Control. All right, here's the second Alice video in this area.
One morning, I saw a deer soar past my bedroom window. It was a balloon of some cartoon animal. And I looked out at the street below, and I saw a little girl crying. Like losing that balloon had just ended her whole world. It was the perfect image of the horror of caring. And that's when I got myself out of bed. And I picked up my camera.
Uh-huh. And she started taking photos of Mr. Scratch and made a documentary out of it. Alice, too, has gotten into the arts.
There was something in the dark. Something I needed to see, to show. The more shadows I photographed and filmed, the more I felt like I was on the verge of a breakthrough. I submerged myself in it. I only went out at night. My search became obsessive, but I still had no idea what I was looking for.
All right, and then there should be one more in the bedroom. Oh, this one's got a lot of
There's a world
TVs.
hidden behind ours. A dark tide ebbing and flowing against reality. Faces in the shadows. Fear of the dark is really just fear of what could be, that vast, paralyzing ocean. But photography can freeze reality in a snapshot, put a cage around the infinite and capture it. I need to prove those faces are really there.
And so that's what she set out to do, and thus she created a documentary called The Dark Place, The Art of Alice Wake. So, we now know that the spiral leads to Alan's writer's room. It's worth mentioning, by the way, I didn't realize it until I looked it up the other day, but somebody did go through the files of
The
Control.
full manuscript of a novel.
Oh, hold on.
Return. A horror story about the dark presence escaping from the dark place, taking over Bright Falls. I couldn't remember writing it. I had not written it. I would never write this. I knew who had. Scratch. A monster with my face. If this story came true, Scratch would get out, people would die. Destroying the manuscript, it wouldn't stop it from happening. I would have to fix it, edit it. I could not change the genre of the story. I'd have to work within the constraints set by Scratch. I needed someone in the story to fight the darkness. Saga Anderson. I kept seeing her in my visions. She was already in Bright Falls, already involved, but she was not in Return. Not yet. I'd write her in, try to stop Scratch within the limits of the horror story. It was almost impossible. It was taking too long. I had not reached the end.
Uh-oh. Interesting. And the loop continues.
And some say that it moves forever, this road that I lose you on every time. And some say that it moves forever, this road. And some say that it moves forever, this road that I lose you on every time. And some say that it moves forever, this road. It's not meant for me. They're meant only for you, I see. Wake up, it's only a dream on a winding road. Now they're in my bed, in the dark chamber of my head. I flip you over until you bend this winding road. Don't you ever let me go. Forever I am play and pretend. Forever, never, wanting it to end. This message that you send to this winding road. It's just the beginning, only the ending. Winding through me now. just sinking in. Only the ending winds into only the end. Winds into
The fact that the song at the end of each of Alan's chapters is pretty much the same is representative of the fact that he's caught in a loop. That seems to basically end each time with him getting shot in the head and waking back up in the writer's room. But song that song changes a little bit each time.
Scratch stopped me before I could finish my edits to the manuscript.
I mean, did he completely though? Because
The
we
memory
already
of my edits was already fading. Terrible things would happen if the manuscript came true. Scratch was there, at Parliament Tower, undoing my work. He could use the story to escape. He could go after Alice.
I mean, we already know from Saga's part of the story that you managed to get it. Oh yeah, by the way, see this is I'll show you right here. Under various artists, Poe This Road shows up twice, which means that we've heard two different versions of that song so far. And by the end of the game there will be two other versions of it as well that show up. So but yeah. Crazy shit. So, but what they're basically trying to say here, because I know it can get a little confusing, is that Return was actually written by Mr. Scratch, Alan's evil doppelganger from the Dark Place. And when Alan found it, all of the edits that were made were in the versions that Saga is finding in the real world. The edits were made by Alan. So the manuscript pages that she's been finding and reading are partially written by Mr. Scratch and partially written by Alan. They were originally written by Mr. Scratch, but edited by Alan to change the story in a way that would work in everyone's favor. Well, at least in his favor. It obviously hasn't worked out very well for Saga, but now you have to wonder the parts where Logan is getting involved in the story, where it turns out that Logan's dead and stuff like that. Do you think now maybe it's possible that Mr. Scratch actually wrote those parts, not Alan?
Zane
I guess we'll
said we
see.
worked on Return together. That was a lie. Scratch wrote Return. I would pay Zane another visit. He had guided me to 2 murder sites. I needed a new one to get back to Parliament Tower. A new draft of initiation.
Oh, back at Mr. Door's talk show. Although I do believe this is the final time that we'll be doing this talk show. A quick save, though. Should always be a thing we do. Alright, let's go talk with Mr. Door one more time. These really are some of my favorite parts of the game, honestly, these talk show cutscenes. They're pretty great. No audience. You looking spooky, Mr. Door. Why so ominous, suddenly?
I don't have time for this, so let's get it over with. Tell me, was this all fake? A show?
No one said otherwise, Mr. Wake. It was to indulge you, but we can stop pretending now.
Masks come off.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far. I don't even think you know who's under your mask, but you know how to make things difficult for yourself. All these rules, endless, convoluted loops you insist on going through. You are so lucky, you know. There are so many people helping you. Armies of people. Myself. Your wife.
Alice. I need to get to her. She's in danger.
She is. Because of you. And so is someone important to me, someone you pulled into this. You keep opening doors. Peeking in. Reaching through to get what you want, and that puts you in my path.
I don't know what you're talking about. I have to go now.
Maybe you will make it through this time. This has gone on long enough. This and our night springs. It was a nice distraction.
It's time someone gave me a straight answer here.
The next time we meet, the circumstances will be very different. And you would do well to return the favor by playing your part. Or stay out of my way, Mr. Wake.
That sounds like a threat.
Whatever you say.
And he's gone.
Door, Zane, the masks were finally coming off. Was it a sign I was closer to escaping? I had no time to waste.
I don't have time for you guys. A lot of that is pretty fucked though when you think about it. Don't forget Mr. Door was reading this book by Dr. Darling, My Interpretation of Many Worlds. Dr. Darling was looking into the world thing. There's absolutely no doubt about it at this point. Mr. Door is a benevolent entity of some kind. He's like Ati. He's not human. He's a thing. He's a creature from another dimension or something like that. He is a resident of the astral plane, much like the board, is what I'm assuming. One of those, you know, they're not human. They might be alien. We don't know what the hell they actually are. We just know that they're not of this world. They're cosmic entities, basically. And they have the ability to go where they want, do what they want, influence things.
Hurry, Tom. Here is the light at the end of the tunnel.
Jumalauta, that held you close, Tom. Mutta go onward, set the granny in the snow. When the panic is biggest, the help is also near.
Door didn't seem happy to see me this time.
Fearing the master is the root of wisdom. But don't let the game get you down. He's playing his role. Maybe put him in your films, Tom, like you have put me. Sehän olisikin.
What films?
I'm a fan of your masterworks. There is Tom the Poet, my favorite, and Yöden Yö is the most famous one, of course. And is it true what I hear, that it's coming back to cinemas soon? Is there a bottom to this rumor?
I need to get back to my apartment. Can you help me?
Well, plan is half done. You asked me to make sure you won't forget mikä se valokuva oli? The light pictures. The photos you artist wife took. They are waiting in the shoebox in the basement. What you leave behind, you find in front of you.
Okay. Thanks, Adi.
So, we had a encounter with both the entities today.
I'm looking forward to seeing Yö in the cinema. But first, I work.
Anyways,
And the
though,
work won't end even when you do it well.
I know Mr. Door said that he was
See,
helping us,
one potato
but
at a time.
what he
Just
said at the
remember
end
to
there sounded like a
the
threat. It
brain
sounded
will
like
keep the peace.
he was basically telling us, look, Mr. Wake, I've been helping you so far, but you're starting to get on my nerves. And there's a limit to how much BS I can put up with. So here's the thing, my guy. I'm gonna have to go ahead and I'm gonna have to go ahead and put a stop to this nonsense right here and now. Basically, he said I have plans for the future. I have things. This isn't exactly what he said, but
I
this
would
is my
find Alice's
interpretation
photos
of
in a
it.
shoebox.
He said I have things going on, multi-dimensional things, the likes of which you couldn't begin to possibly comprehend, and the way he told us to stay out of his way, it sounded like he was saying, you're not going to like what my plans are for the future. You're not going to like what I'm about to do, but you have a role to play, and you should just play it. If you try to break that role and get in my way, you'll regret it. So it sounds like Mr. Door is actually going to be a villain in a future game, which doesn't surprise me because Mr. Door is technically the villain of Quantum Break, except in that game he's known as Mr. Hatch and played by a different actor, but it's a alternate universe version of him. And so when he said, you dragged someone important to me into this, that's the one part I don't get yet. And I think he might be talking about Sheriff Tim Breaker, even though he technically dragged Tim into this himself. I think when he took Tim out of Bright Falls and put him in the dark place, he was trying to take Tim out of the story. He didn't want Tim to be part of the story. And I think the reason for that would technically be a spoiler for the post-credit scene of Quantum Break, but I think Mr. Door has plans for Tim. I think he considers him a sort of a protege of sorts, and but I could be wrong about who he was actually talking about, but that's my theory at the moment. And he did say that Alan peeks into doors and opens doors that he shouldn't be looking behind. And I remember how before I said that Alan is a seer and that he's kind of a fraud as a writer because all of his stories are based off of other people's real lives that he's peeking into with his seer powers. So that's why his Alex Casey books are so similar to the real FBI agent Alex Casey, because it really is him, you know. But he only saw bits and pieces of it, so he had to go with that and then write around it. I think that's kind of what Mr. Door means. I think he means that Alan is like basically interfering directly with other people's lives, but with his writings.
A bullet of light to push the darkness away.
These were Alice's photos. I recognized the style. One showed the clicker sinking into darkness. The other showed a light in the shape of a bullet. They were important, even if I didn't know what to do with them yet.
Those shadows are there to unnerve us, but they can't actually do anything. Also, I had to make sure I grabbed those photos before I went to the exit here, because if you don't get the photos first, then the video here can be completely missable. Another writer's room video. Another short chapter. All right, we just heard this. We're not going to listen to it again. It is basically still the same song.
I'm lost in the dark, drowning. I'm drowning. I'm drowning. No way out. There's no way out. Sinking deeper, deeper, deeper. This is hell. I'm in hell. I'm dying.
Yeah, we're going to watch this video on the, in the writer's room in a second.
To get to Parliament Tower, I needed to find a murder site. Zane would know where to find one.
Gotta go talk to Zane at the hotel again to get the next chapter started. Oh, here we go. Come on.
Inside this messy maze of blood trails I was chasing the cult through, I ran into the filmmaker, Thomas Zane.
That's a big
An
echo.
esoteric bohemian with a hard-on for acts of cruelty performed in the name of occult nonsense. A director wants to control every aspect of the world in their films. Is a cult leader any different? Was Zane just another alias for Scratch? There was a rumor that Wake and Zane had been working on something together. I was going to get the truth out of Zane with whatever means necessary.
There's a lot of conflicting information about why Thomas Zane looks like Alan Wake. Oh, kind of looks like him anyway. And I think it mostly has to do with the fact that Tom Zane fought the darkness and got trapped in the dark place way before Alan did in the events of the first game. I believe the old gods of Asgard were there for that one as well. And remember I said that the old gods have been fighting the darkness for a while, you know.
Zane's room, 665, was upstairs. The elevator would take me there.
But some people theorize that part of it, and you know, this just adds to the convolution of the Remedy connected universe, but part of it is that Tom Zane kind of created an Alan Wake character, like wrote Alan Wake into reality in order to help get him out of the dark place, but it didn't work out exactly how he was planning, or something ridiculous like that. I don't know if I completely buy into that one. I think there's some other reasons for it, but like a lot of this is like art influencing real life type stuff because of, you know, how objects of power work. And something about Bright Falls in particular, Bright Falls seems to be like ground zero for a threshold that allows art to influence reality.
Something told me Zane wouldn't be happy to see me this time.
Because it's not just Alan's writing, it's Tom's films and the old gods music and all kinds of shit. Anyways, here's another fun live-action cutscene with old Tommy Zane.
I'm in control now. The second you try anything, I will shoot you in the head.
No, you're in Alan Wake
Scratch
2.
wrote Return, not me.
Control
You're
happened
a fucking
before
liar.
You'd given up. You stopped writing. You said it was too dangerous, that we didn't deserve to get out. And then he showed up. Scratch. He promised to write. To get me the hell out of here. He was magnificent. A visionary. I mean, it was art. But then, when it finished, it took Return and left me behind.
It's still here, and so is he.
I know I fucked up. But you can still catch him before he gets out, before he gets to your wife. When you get to him, don't hesitate. Kill the bastard for what he did to us. There's a murder site in my cinema where my film Nightless Night is playing.
Well,
I told you not to try anything.
Wait, it's not over yet.
Oh, mercy. Thousands have gone missing. Beyond the labyrinth of me. When you're lost in your own company. And cut! Oh. Now that is drama.
It's crazy to me how he was helping us get out of.
Fuck? I had
He
a
was.
million questions about Zane, but I had more pressing concerns.
Yeah, you and me in the audience all have a million questions about Zane. Look, folks, there's only so much I can explain to you because there are some things that even the
I
developers
had to find the
themselves
movie theater Poet Cinema.
haven't
The next murder
explained yet.
site was there. Zane had created the film in tandem with Return to escape the dark place.
Okay, so as Scratch was writing Return, Tom Zane was working with Scratch and making a film called Nightless Night, or Yolton Yo, which is also the name of the song that was singing on stage. Um, Yolton Yo is a 15-minute short film which actually plays in its entirety in the cinema, and we get. Did you see that? That was Dr. Darling trying to contact us again through the TV. Again, though, and it didn't go through completely, but like I said, when you play Final Draft mode, the signal goes all the way through and we get to see those videos in full. So, something that we will tackle in a bonus episode. I'm not going to leave you hanging.
I could see the searchlight beams of the movie theater on the far side of the plaza.
Yeah, boy. All right, we are not going to do that yet, though. I know that we're technically in the very beginning of chapter 8 now, but well, Alan's side of chapter 8 anyways, but before we keep going with Alan, I actually want to switch back to Saga, get the next part of her part of the thing started. And oh no, wait. I can't quite yet, can I? There's like a bunch of cutscenes that happen. I might actually have to stop this episode here and then start fresh in the next one. You know what? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and stop this episode here a little earlier than normal. And then in the next episode, we'll start fresh with Saga's next part of the story, which is going to be, well, I'm at least going to switch over to her and save. Because once we go back to Bright Falls and go inside the lodge. Oh, you know what? You know what? We can at least drive back to Bright Falls, I think, because there's actually a couple of things that we can get real quick. There we go. There are a couple of collectibles that we can nab real quick now that we have the right items.
Quiet now. Feels like I've suddenly gone deaf. Those old folks sure can get loud, huh?
I don't mind it. What happened to grab life's gifts?
I mean, once we get the bolt cutters, then we can get all the collectibles. But I'm not going to spend a bunch of time on that. Like I said, when we do the bonus episode with the final draft content, I will also show you what happens if you do all the nursery rhymes too. I'll throw that in there too. I'll make that part of the bonus episode. Just cover all that stuff in one episode.
Alan Wake. My name comes up, your books come up, you come up. I've read them. There are echoes of my life in there that makes me feel like someone's been watching me. What happened to Alan Wake? The unanswered mystery. Never expected to find you alive.
So I was wrong. We do go straight into a cutscene, but I know what happens next.
My
So
head's killing me.
I know we have a good stopping point coming up.
I think you like using people, Wake. Taking their lives and twisting them into your stories. And when someone gets hurt, it's kick-ass material for the next one. Shit! Spilled my coffee.
Take it you're not a fan then, Agent Casey.
This is not your playground, and I'm not your fucking creation.
It doesn't work that way. You can't make something out of nothing, even in the dark place where the rules hardly apply. It's very complicated to make fiction come true. I saw visions of what's happening, what will happen. Dreams. I tried to use them in my writing. I understand how dangerous it is now, even with a paralyzing amount of planning. I think I stopped writing. I think I gave up. But there's a manuscript. Maybe I forgot not to write. The dark place makes you forget. I just want to fix this. Find a version of the story that fixes everything.
Shut up! Get down!
Well, looks like the cult is here. Man, they really have it out for Alan.
FBI!
We want the rider! No one else needs to get hurt!
Fuck off!
Hey, what are you doing? Scratch! It's close!
Stay down!
Wait, I need a gun!
No chance. FBI!
Tracy! Look out! It's coming! It's there!
Man, I really hope Casey has a flashlight. We're in chapter 4 of Return now. We gotta catch up a little bit to Alan's side of things. Although we are playing as Alan right now. But remember, Return takes place after initiation. Obviously, considering that Alan is not in the dark place currently.
What the fuck?
Yeah, what the fuck indeed. What happened in here? Something came and destroyed everything except
I had escaped
Alan.
the dark place. So would the dark presence. Scratch. He was here, in Bright Falls. I could feel him as a growing pressure in my head. Stronger by the minute. Why didn't he kill me with the rest? What did he want?
So that's what it was. Mr. Scratch came
I
through
gotta
and
get
did
out
all
of here.
this.
I needed to find Casey. We were on the same side in this fight. Strength in numbers.
I mean, we already knew Scratch was dangerous. I thought I saw an icon for picking something up, but I guess I was wrong.
I need to protect myself.
The shotgun will do.
A gun and a flashlight. How nostalgic.
A shotgun with 2 bullets. Well, that ain't gonna do us much good. That ain't gonna do us much good at all. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. Figured we could get a little bit further at least. All right, so yeah, this is where I'm going to end this episode. When in the next episode, we will continue playing as Alan, at least for a little bit. And then we'll play as Saga again because, you know, her part of this isn't over. And she's on her way back from Watery to Bright Falls while all this is happening. So she's going to get, excuse me, she's going to get here and she's going to find a empty cabin full of blood and a missing Casey and Alan, and gonna have to figure out what happened to them and where they went. So we'll deal with all of that in the next episode, and we'll also go visit Ati and the old guards at their Valhalla nursing home right here in Bright Falls. So that'll be cool. So stay tuned for all of that and let me know your thoughts of this episode and the game so far in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, remember to click that like button. And as always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will catch you possibly on another day, definitely at another time, and likely in another video. Okay, goodbye.